The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are simply that, opinions. All are presumed innocent until proven otherwise in a court of law. Sensitive topics are discussed. Discretion is advised.
Hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs was acquitted of all the real serious charges in his trial and now faces sentencing in October for 2 federal prostitution-related convictions. How much time will he serve? What is justice? And will he get out on bond before he gets sent away? Tonight, we break down all the latest. But first,
I find that the application to dismiss the indictment is denied for the following reasons.
actor and celebrity Gary Busey appears in court in New Jersey. Tonight, we will show you the video everyone is talking about as Busey enters a guilty plea after getting a deal. On a cold October afternoon in Lacey, Washington, 17-year-old Fatima Ali's cries pierced the silence outside of Timberland High School. Her parents, enraged by her refusal to go home and get ready to leave on a one-way ticket to Iraq, launch a violent scene in broad daylight. Witnesses rushed in, pulling off the parents as Fatima ran to safety. Authorities later calling it a chilling attempted honor killing. Now charged with attempted murder and kidnapping, her parents sit in a courtroom fighting for their freedom. And tonight, all the evidence is in and the arguments have been made, and it's time for the jury to speak. I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. Great to have you aboard, and it came in late today. It took 19 hours and 7 minutes. That is a long deliberation, folks. And of course, we're talking about the attempted honor killing trial. 19 hours and 7 minutes for a trial that was about 8 days of evidence. Should have taken about 8 hours or so. This jury did their job. Okay, a jury puts in this much time on a trial that is this short. They are giving the effort. They are doing exactly what we want a jury to do. Be thoughtful. Come to a conclusion. Figure it out. And we know it wasn't easy. They had to take a bunch of breaks during the course of deliberations just to get out of the jury room to take a walk. But they got in and they made their decision today. And there's a lot at stake here. This is an attempted murder case by a mother and father of their teenage daughter. The ramifications and implications are far-reaching for this. First of all, for the family, right? The family has already imploded to a certain extent. But the question is, will a mother and father be in prison for decades for what happened here? Or was it something else? Or was it something else? This extremely serious. And what you have to understand is the chaos that ensued outside of Timberline School that day. A father enraged, a mother screaming at the top of her lungs, a daughter passing out and running away from her parents, trying to get away from her parents to get to safety. And then you had the other students that were there, including the boyfriend, who are jumping into the fray. Everything escalating, people stopping in the street to intervene, a bus driver pulling over to try to stop what was happening. It was complete chaos, but a lot of it, most of it, was captured on video. So the jury knew what was happening, but what they really had to figure out was why it was happening. What was the intent here? What was going through the mind of the accused attempted killers? The intent is key in all of this. And this is the question I asked throughout the coverage of this story. If no one else was there, if the bus driver didn't stop, if the man didn't pull over from his truck and jump out, if the students that were there didn't jump in the pile, would this father and mother, would they have murdered their daughter right there? Would that have been the result? I think that's the way you got to analyze it. Would she be dead? This was an attempted murder charge. So, 19 hours, 7 minutes to get to an agreement. And as you know, in criminal courts, it's got to be unanimous. Everyone's got to agree. And they all did when they delivered this verdict.
We, the jury, find the defendant Ihsan Ali not guilty of the crime of attempted murder in the second degree as charged in count 1. We, the jury, having found the defendant not guilty of the crime of assault in the first degree as charged, or being unable to unanimously agree as to that charge, find the defendant Ihsan Ali guilty of the lesser crime of assault in the second degree. We, the jury, find the defendant Ihsan Ali guilty of the crime of unlawful imprisonment as charged in count 3. We, the jury, find the defendant Ihsan Ali guilty of the crime of assault in the fourth degree as charged in count 4. We, the jury, find the defendant Zahraa Ali not guilty of the crime of attempted murder in the second degree as charged in count 1. We, the jury, find the defendant Zahraa Ali not guilty of the crime of assault in the second degree as charged in count 2. We, the jury, find the defendant Zahraa Ali not guilty of the crime of unlawful imprisonment as charged in count 3. We, the jury, find the defendant Zahraa Ali not guilty of the crime of burglary in the second degree as charged in count 4. We, the jury, find the defendant Zahraa Ali guilty of the crime of violation of a court order as charged in count 5.
Shocking? I mean, this is the year of the not guilty. That's where we've been here on Court TV. It's happening. Juries are coming back, and they are telling prosecutors across this country that, listen, these charges that you're throwing out there, they're not sticking because you didn't prove the case. What you're alleging isn't what happened here. And that's what they said. Look, not guilty of second-degree attempted murder. The mom not guilty of everything except the violation of the harassment order. That's because that's where she wasn't supposed to be there, and she was there. I mean, that was an easy one. But the rest of it, not guilty for her. The father guilty of second-degree domestic violence assault. The lesser charge. Let's bring in our think tank, see what they have to say about all this. Joining us, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor, David Schnipper. Criminal defense attorney, Eklund Mercy is with us. And family law attorney, trial attorney, Scott Friedman. Great to see everyone tonight. Okay, I've been watching this. I've watched the video many times, and I've asked that question. What would have happened if none of the people that were there intervened? Would Fatima be dead? And this jury, David Schnipper, basically said no, she would not have. What happened here? Why did prosecutors not win this case? Why didn't the jury believe the accusations here, the top accusations against the father?
The jury spoke. Juries are different. You could have this trial a week from now with a different jury pool, a fair amount of jurors, and it could be a different outcome. They looked at the evidence, as you stated. I think they deliberated for a very long time. They're problem solvers, attentive to detail-oriented, and they went through everything. And I think the thing that I liked about what they did, they sort of took away from the fact that it was their parents, because that is such a bad look. And I think at the end of the day, if you look at the Washington state laws in terms of first-degree and second-degree assault with the father, usually first-degree assault has some sort of weapon, and it's a no-brainer with attempted murder. I kind of think they got this right, to be honest with you, and what they had. Now, the mother is very lucky in terms of fourth-degree assault. That's just basically a misdemeanor. I think she's already been released. But the father's going to spend some time incarcerated, I guess. My guess is the judge is going to make an example of him. He could spend up to 10 years in jail and a $20,000 fine, so we'll see how that plays out. But I don't necessarily think the jury got this wrong, albeit a horrible look, but they looked at the evidence. And
the evidence we're looking at right now. There's a video of the alleged crime in this, Eklund Mercy. First of all, are you shocked by what the jury did here?
No, I'm not at all. The issue is that you'd be shocked at how much corporal punishment is in in homes today. The difference in this particular case is we're dealing with corporal punishment. We're dealing with disciplining of a young girl, especially right now where, women's rights are being gutted. are not really seeing the same type of protection for women as we used to. So again, remember that the jury is a cross-section of the community. And I think that the jury got it right in the sense that we do have parents who discipline their children. And that kind of negated any of the intent for the murder or for the attempted murder. I don't think that the prosecution had any evidence besides, they didn't give any evidence besides the video for anything with regards to attempted murder. But I really do think they got it right. The jury did.
Yeah, and the jury's got to get to the truth. And when you watch the video, from my perspective, things are escalated by everyone that is there, right? That, to me, that does not lower the level of violence. Now, here's the father starts, and already the boyfriend is there, right? And the boyfriend believes, I believe that he believes in his heart that he's saving his girlfriend. But the father, from his perspective, believes, like, who is this kid getting between me and my daughter? And that's how I think the level of intensity goes up in the father's head. And then when he gets her away, everybody else now pounces on him, and now we've got this scrum going on, which I think the jury did a nice job of trying to figure out, okay, well, what's really going on here? What really was this father attempting to do? Domestic violence is what he was found guilty of, second-degree assault. Domestic violence, this is clearly domestic in nature. It's a parent, it's a child. Scott, what are your thoughts here about that aspect of it? You know, a jury looking at this and saying, this is a father with a daughter. From his perspective, this is a daughter, teenage daughter, who has run away. Looking for her all day, tracks her down, wants to take her home. She refuses to go home, so he physically grabs her to bring her home, and then we see everything else that happens. So how does that play into this? The fact that, as Eklund was referencing, this is a father trying to get his daughter to come back home.
I understand, but I don't think violence is the way to do it. Unfortunately, I think this thing got way out of control.
Why? Why, though? Why does it get out of control? Because that's a big part of this case, right, Scott? Because the defense is arguing it's escalated and elevated by the boyfriend. What are your thoughts about why it got out of control? Because I think that's the key to the whole case.
I think that the father has a disciplinary position on things and was frustrated with his daughter, and probably this wasn't the first time he was frustrated with her from the facts I know. And the boyfriend was trying to protect his girlfriend. And, that happens every day in America, unfortunately. People get out of control, and then it just escalates, but doesn't make it right. And certainly domestic violence is a part of that, and that's why we have these domestic violence statutes to protect against interfamily kinds of things. I, too, thought the jury got it correct. I thought the state overcharged this case with respect to the second-degree attempted murder. I didn't feel like there was that intent to do that by any means, and certainly there weren't weapons involved and things like that.
Yeah, and David, when the story first broke, it was all about an honor killing. There were allegations by prosecutors. This is some sort of an honor killing. It was like, oh my goodness, this is outrageous. We don't have honor killings in the United States of America. But the way it played out in court, it didn't seem like that had anything to do with anything, right? That wasn't the story the jury was being told. Do you think that's why it was an attempted murder case? Because in their minds, prosecutors were like, this was an attempted honor killing, whether the judge allows it or not?
Well, I think the state's intent was to portray that based on, the parents from Iraq, and my research shows that there, honor killings do happen in Iraq. But the jury, like both my colleagues agree, I think we're all on the same page. They really got this right, and I commend them that they really separated the whole parental aspect of it, and they looked at what prongs were hit. That did they, beyond a reasonable doubt, break the law? And when you really dissect it, I think that the mother's I always said it was either going to be second degree or fourth degree assault. I thought it was going to be, and I kind of based it on what her injuries were going to be. And then I saw one of the prongs for second-degree assault is suffocation. And I think that's why the father, and look, I think the father snapped. I mean, horrible parenting, obviously. But at the end of the day, like, subjectively and objectively, are you really going to attempt murder outside in front of people? It just, the attempted murder thing never made sense to me. And again, I think that the jury, it's always nice when the jury gets something right.
Oh, absolutely. Eklund, so I think that the bigger picture here for people watching at home that have teenagers sometimes, and I'm not talking about this case, okay? Let's take it outside of this case. Teenagers acting out. You've got a teenager who runs away from home or is out and is not supposed to be out. You know it's dangerous if your teenager is out, and it's your teenager's, 13, 14, 15 years old, and you find them. How do you get them home without, if they are refusing to get home? Where is the line between being a parent and then becoming a felon?
Well, I think that things have definitely changed from, older generations. I think parents now talk to their children more. And I think instead of using corporal punishment, you can use the art of
How do you get them to go home? They won't go home. They won't listen to you. How do you get them there?
Here's the thing. You can, at the end of the day, you know your kid, and you also know that if you do something, you can go to jail. So I would suggest that you talk to them and have some safe words.
Yeah.
And have some
Try talking to a teenager.
I do not suggest.
Try talking. Scott Freeman, what would you suggest? What would you suggest to a parent who has a wayward teenager who is acting out, could be in a very dangerous situation or circumstance? You want them to come home, but they won't come home. How do you get them home?
Take their phone. You get make some repercussions. Seriously, I mean, those are the most important things to these teenagers. Are things like access to social media, texting their friends, all those sorts of things. Make it punish a little bit. If they're driving, take away their car. I mean, give them some conditions on doing the right thing. I think, like you said, Eklund, talking to them is perfect, and it's a teaching moment, but that might be after you get them home. It might not be right when you're in the middle of a street and you're trying to get your kid home and off the street and out of a dangerous situation. So, give them some stuff there that they could think about that could make them really think about doing the right thing rather than the wrong thing.
Absolutely. Good advice. Okay, folks, I think we all agree justice was served today. The jury got it right. Coming back, when we come back, Gary Busey, the actor, the celebrity, in court. Unbelievable video. We're going to show it to you. Plus, coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, she made millions modeling for millions, but behind the glam, Courtney Clenny's life spiraled into deadly chaos. Now the OnlyFans star stands accused of murdering her boyfriend in a brutal high-rise stabbing. Was it murder or self-defense? Tonight, we investigate.
The Court TV podcast will return.
I find that the application to dismiss the indictment is denied for the following reasons. What's before the court is that on August 13th, 2022, the police responded to the DoubleTree Hotel located at 2349 Marlton Pike West, where the Monster Mania event was being held. As reported to the police by 4 separate females, that the defendant, Gary Busey, had grabbed their buttocks. There were other allegations reported by the females against Mr. Busey. One of the females reported that, in addition, that the defendant had touched the outside of her vagina.
There he is, longtime Hollywood icon Gary Busey. broke into Hollywood 1978, portraying Buddy Holly, then in movies like Lethal Weapon, Point Break, Entourage, The Firm, The Apprentice. You know Gary Busey. Well, he was in court today. Didn't look great. Charged with groping women inappropriately, not that there's an appropriate way to do it, but inappropriately at one of those conventions that they have at hotels, right? It's like a mini Comic-Con that he was at. It was the Monster Mania convention. 4 women made allegations against him. He tried to get it dismissed. That was denied by the judge at 11 a.m. Then they come back into court 2:40 in the afternoon, and a deal has been struck, and Gary Busey's going to attempt to plead guilty. Watch how this goes down.
Okay, Mr. Busey, please state your name and raise your right hand for me.
State your name. State your name.
State your name, sir.
My name is William Gary Busey, B-U-S-E-Y.
Okay, do you, sir, swear or affirm any testimony you give the court shall be the truth?
What? I'm sorry?
Do you swear or affirm that any testimony you give the court shall be the truth?
Yes, ma'am, I do. I confirm that.
Okay. Now, it is my understanding you wish to plead guilty to a 4th-degree sexual contact, criminal sexual contact. Is that correct?
Am I pleading guilty?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
I am?
No.
Okay.
No, that's not how it works. Listen to me, Mr. Busey.
Huh?
Did you talk to your attorney about how you want to handle your case today?
Yes.
Yes.
But I don't want you to say yes, and I don't want anyone to tell you what to say. You need to say it on your own, sir.
Yes.
Okay, now do you wear some type of hearing assistance,
Yes.
Mr. Busey? Okay, do you have it on now? Okay, do you have it up loud enough so you can hear? Are you
I
able
have
to-
it up as loud as it'll go.
Okay. Now, this is my question. Do you wish to plead guilty to a criminal sexual contact today?
Yeah.
Now, I wonder if there's something else that we could do that allow Mr. Busey to hear a little better. Are you having a hard time hearing altogether, Mr. Busey? Are you hearing me some?
Yes, I have hearing aids and they are working, but they only go so high.
I understand. And are you still having some trouble hearing me,
No.
even with your hearing aid on?
No, I don't. I hear you fine.
Okay. So my question is again is, do you wish to plead guilty to a 4th-degree charge of criminal sexual contact? Yes or no?
Yes.
Now, before you decided to plead guilty to that charge, did you review that charge with your attorney?
Yes.
Did you have a chance to read the police reports with your attorney?
Yes.
Has your attorney answered all questions that you've had?
Yes.
Are you satisfied with the advice he has given you?
Yes.
Have you had enough time to meet with your attorney?
Yes.
Now, this is my understanding of the plea agreement. It is my understanding you will be pleading guilty to count 1 of the indictment. Count 1 charges you with 4th-degree criminal sexual contact. On your sentence date, the state is recommending I sentence you to a term of probation. Could you hear all of that?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Busey, I'm going to direct your attention to the date of August 13th, 2022. Okay?
Yeah?
All right. Were you in Cherry Hill, New Jersey on that date?
Yes. Affirmative, yes.
And were you attending something that's been identified as a Monster Mania convention or function?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Was there a photo shoot set up where fans of William Gary Busey, could have a photograph taken with you.
Yes. Yes.
And during that session, you agree, do you not? You do agree that you inappropriately touched the buttocks of an adult female over her clothing. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you understand now, and you knew then, that that was not appropriate. It was wrong, correct?
Yes, very much so. Immediately, yes.
And you want Judge Blue to accept your acknowledgement of this particular incident. Is that right?
Yes, sir. It is the truth.
So this was not an accidental touching. You purposely touched her. Is that correct, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, and you did it for your own self-gratification. Is that correct, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions from the state?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Busey, do you understand that by pleading guilty, you're going to have a criminal record?
Yes.
Do you also understand you have to submit a DNA sample?
What?
A DNA sample. Whenever you're arrested, you have to give a DNA sample, which is a swabbing of your mouth. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. On the charge of fourth-degree criminal sexual contact, how do you plead? Not guilty. What is this, sir?
Guilty.
Okay, sir, I find, based on your statements under oath, I find your guilty plea is known and voluntary. It's a factual basis for your guilty plea. Your guilty plea is accepted.
Eckler Mercy, is this typical? Because, you know, folks don't make it to the courthouse every day. There are thousands and thousands of pleas taking place. You know, defendants come from different walks of life, different ages, different levels of hearing and understanding. Is that typical? Was that a good plea?
Yeah, it was an amazing plea based on the charges. As I heard, it was a great reduction, and you know, he does have to put his DNA, so hopefully it doesn't match for anything else. With older clients like that, technology is really hard, but it is helpful to be able to plead, you know, via Zoom. However, he almost didn't get it. There were 2 times there he almost wasn't allowed to plead, but he kind of saved himself later on.
Yeah, Scott, it's interesting watching as, like, you know, there's someone, that's the difference between Zoom justice and in-court justice. There's someone over here, like, feeding, line, please, right? It's like, but we know he wanted to plead guilty, but did he really understand what was happening, do you think?
There were times, I was watching that earlier, that I did not think that he was understanding it or couldn't hear it properly, or something like that. He's also 81 years old. You know, Vinnie, it's funny because I always thought that Gary Busey never really acted because that's how he was. He certainly proved that today with how he acted. But no, it was an interesting plea. Obviously, technology comes into play in all these things. When we were taking depositions during COVID, it was difficult to hear. Things would freeze up. There's a perfect example of this. Plus, he's got, of course, all the other issues that go along with it. So I think he knew what he was doing. I just think that the questioning was confusing. And I think the intentional part that the judge had to ask him, that it was for his own gratification, got him very confused.
Yeah, I mean, that's the major element in all this, right? The reason he did. It's not like I accidentally touched this woman, Your Honor. I was doing it purposefully for self-gratification. They finally got there. But this is the one criticism of our system, David Schnipper, and it's when a defendant is in court and is pleading guilty, but is just yesing their way through it. Like it happened with BK, the Idaho 4 killer. They're yesing it. To me, a true factual basis, a true plea of guilty, someone who is knowingly and admitting what they did, should just say what they did. And if they can't say what they did, then the system, I think, should be a little more honest. I mean, they're able to get it. The record's clean. I get it. but I always wonder, not just with Busey, but with a lot of criminal defendants. Sometimes English isn't their first language. Do they really, really understand? And are they really, really admitting to what they did?
Well, I mean, it's a good question, but it's also, you have to understand that, you know, someone like Gary Busey, a layperson that's not in court all the time, like a defense counsel, not used to it, doesn't understand the process. And there's a difference between when you actually say, yes, I'm guilty, and then what's at the end of that road. The end of that road for him, as Edwin said, was a great result. He's going to be on probation. He doesn't have to register as a sex offender. So it really was a great result. I want to also shout out DC Cab, back from 1983, a great Gary Busey movie. He was Dell. And like Scott said, I mean, Gary Busey's this kind of fun-loving guy, a lot of booze in his life. I mean, he probably, you know, they didn't say it, but I'm guessing maybe he had some sauce that day at the Monster Mania back in August of 2022. But, you know, he's 81 years old. You can tell he's a little off. You know, props to the judge for allowing him to appear by Zoom, and most judges should allow that. But, you know, at the end of the day, I think he kind of understood. But again, I think you have to understand, like, oh, guilty, I have to say I'm guilty. And then they have the attorney has to explain to them, yes, but understand what the end result is. You're just going to be on probation. This is the best, most favorable result. And he kind of got that. But I think it was hard for him to say guilty, like, publicly.
Yeah. Eklund, do you think he'll be at any more of these conventions signing autographs and taking photos with fans? Because I don't know, and this is honest, I don't know if he won't do it again. I am not convinced that he won't do it again. And there were 4 women here who were groped, including someone's daughter. Like, the father was upset about it, so I believe that victim a little bit younger. I mean, to me, I would make that a condition of his probation, no more of this stuff.
Yeah, no, he still needs to make a living. He's just going to be a creepy old guy. You see them often, and he's just going to, hopefully, you know, people, you know, press charges if something happens to you. But I see him still doing what he's doing. He's 81 years old. I personally think that, you know, he did a really great piece right there, trying to act like he didn't understand. I thought it was, like, really cool improv. He's very talented. Here's the thing. As an attorney, you have the discussion with your clients. He's not pleading to anything that the attorney did not talk to him at length, especially when you're dealing with heavy charges like that, and especially when you're dealing with a great plea negotiation.
Oh, man, it was a sweet deal. Super sweet deal. All right, here's what we're going to do. You're talking about the creepy old guy. When we come back, we're going to talk about a creepy younger guy, a bigger celebrity than Gary Busey. We're talking about Diddy. Bunch of stuff happening in the Diddy case now. And we're going to talk about all of it, including trying to get out on bond, trying to get the charges tossed, and what will his sentence be in October? All that coming up.
Now, back to the Court TV podcast.
Today's a great victory. It's a great victory for Sean Combs. It's a great victory for the jury system. You saw that the Southern District of New York prosecutors came at him with all that they had. They're not stopping, but one thing stands between all of us and a prison, and that is a jury of 12 citizens. And we had a wonderful jury. They listened to every word, and they got the situation right, or certainly right enough.
All right. It was a big win for Sean Diddy Combs. He won his trial, but there were still convictions. And now he's made a motion for an acquittal or a new trial. Let's take a look at some of the arguments they're making now. Mr. Combs stands convicted of 2 prostitution counts under the Mann Act. To our knowledge, Mr. Combs is the only person ever convicted of violating the statute for conduct anything like this. It is undisputed that he had no commercial motive and that all involved were adults. Okay, they're saying he made no money from the prostitution, didn't have sex with the alleged prostitutes, didn't arrange the transportation with the intent of committing sexual assault, sex trafficking, or a sex crime involving a minor. Indeed, he's also arguing that he sits in jail on evidence that he paid adult male escorts and entertainers who engaged in consensual sexual activities with his former girlfriends, which he videotaped and later watched with the girlfriends. That is not prostitution. And if it is, his conviction is unconstitutional. The court should grant an acquittal or at a minimum a new trial on the Mann Act counts alone. Let's bring back in our think tank. What do they think about this? David Schnipper, Eklund Mercy, Scott Friedman. Scott, it was a win at trial, but there are still these outstanding charges that he was convicted of. Do they have any legs to these arguments that he is the only one being convicted of this, the Mann Act, under these particular circumstances? And even if he is the only one, is that a basis to have the charges dismissed or overturned?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a basis, Vinnie, but it's a creative argument for sure. I mean, I read through this earlier today getting prepared, and you know, it's one of those, the Mann Act I heard has been around since the early 1900s and, you know, has been used many times against those who profit from prostitution, which clearly they think he did not. And so I think it's a very creative act. Will it win the day? I don't know. I think this judge, by denying bail after the first verdict, is probably not going to entertain something to his benefit necessarily. But we'll see. I mean, it's creative, and you know, $50 million bond with lots of restrictions is also something that the court needs to consider whenever they have a hearing.
Yeah, well, that's the other motion, right? The motion for bond. Combs will sign a $50 million bond secured by his home in Miami. Wow, that's some home, right? The bond will be co-signed by 3 financially responsible people. He'll stay in Miami. He'll limit his travel to court in Florida or coming to New York to see his attorneys. What do you think here, David Schnipper? Is he being treated fairly by our system based upon what he's been convicted of, right? Because he was found not guilty of the other charges. We know the conduct is awful, but is he being treated fairly at this point?
I think he's being treated very fairly. Look, I've always said it's not about culture, race, religion, whatever. It's about money. Sean Combs can afford the most elite, experienced, competent, aggressive litigation team, which he has put in place. And look, at the end of the day, he's been incarcerated since September of 2024. He served about a year. My research says that he's going to get, if things stay the same, which I think that they will, Scott was right, is a creative argument, but the jury has spoken. He's probably going to spend about 21 to 27 months total. And at the end of the day, after his sentencing, which I think is in October, he's probably only spent about 9 to 15 more months in jail. So, you know, if his attorney's creative argument doesn't work, it's not like he's going to be in jail for that much longer. He's 55 years old. He's still a very wealthy individual. He has his whole life to live. But yeah, I think he's been treated very fairly, and he has the means to have the best representation. And the Mann Act is great.
Who's the victim? Who's the victim in that case? Who are the victims in his Mann Act case? Is it the male prostitutes who he flew in and had sex with his girlfriends? Are they the victims?
I think that everybody that they feel that he's that I think that they use this power to kind of force them there. The male prostitutes, the women involved. I think probably mostly it's probably the women involved is my guess. I mean, I'm not on the jury, but I mean, the Mann Act for any immoral purpose is very, very kind of vague and ambiguous. We don't have to like all the laws. There's plenty of laws that I don't think that is fair. I particularly don't think the Mann Act is that fair. It was last amended in 1986. Probably needs to be looked at again, where they acted for any immoral purpose, and that's why he was convicted.
Eklund Mercy, who are the victims?
in this case.
Who's that?
Or with regards to the man.
Under the Mann Act, who are the victims? What he was actually convicted of? Is it the male prostitutes who were paid and consensually got on the plane and flew to have sex with his girlfriends? Are they the victims in all of this?
Statutes like the Mann Act, it's those types of laws are the victims are society. So when they do something like immoral behavior, that like grand sweeping phrase like immoral behavior, it's things that society, like it really grows with society. Things that, may not have been immoral before are moral now. So I think that it's one of those catch-all type laws. And I don't know if an argument being that you're setting precedent is enough for an appeal. So I'm not sure about that. However, I do have an opinion with regards to the sentencing.
Yes, go ahead.
I mean, I could be, I think it's worse that he got out, because can you imagine somebody with his presence, somebody who's been up top, somebody who has been dapping up Oprah, and now suddenly, right, everybody knows your business, everybody has heard things, everybody has talked about things. It's more, and then it's even worse. At the very least, if he was in prison, they would be bored. But now he's going to be out, and he's going to be, it's
we are out of time, Eklund.
It's going to be weird.
I hate cutting off Eklund Mercy, but we're out of time. Thank you so much, David Schnipper, Scott Freeman. Appreciate it. We'll see you again real soon. When we come back, I'll reveal something else you need to know tonight, plus coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, from luxury living to lockdown, OnlyFans sensation Courtney Clenny built a fortune with her beauty, but prosecutors say she destroyed a life with her rage. Was it self-defense or a deadly side of fame gone too far? Tonight, we investigate.
This is the Court TV Podcast.
Welcome back. Time to reveal something else you need to know tonight. Take a look at the big board. Wanted tonight. We have a suspect in that case we are covering out of Tennessee. An abandoned baby was found, then 4 dead adults. The abandoned baby, the child of 2 of the dead adults, and the grandmother was another one. This is the suspect who is wanted, Austin Robert Drummond. Wanted for 4 counts of first-degree murder. Take a look. You see him. Pick up that phone, make the call to 911 immediately. There's the car that they're looking for as well, an Audi out of Tennessee. Call 1-800-TBI-FIND. All right, folks, we need your help on another case, a missing child. This is 13-year-old Eugene Batiste. Eugene is missing from Marrero, Louisiana. If you see him, pick up the phone, make a call, make a difference. 911, 1-800-THE-LOST, or you can call the Jefferson Parish County Sheriff's Office. That number's on the screen right now. Let's get Eugene to a safe place tonight. Don't go anywhere. We have another hour of live true crime. Vinnie Politan Investigates is next. In the meantime, please don't forget to hug the kids. There you have it. If you want to see more in-depth reporting on the latest true crime stories, you can see me every weeknight, 8 p.m. Eastern on Closing Arguments. Thank you so much for downloading. And as always, please don't forget to hug the kids.
This podcast is a production of Court TV. Go to CourtTV.com for more content, trials on demand, and to find out how to watch Court TV in your area.